All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about discovery. So the first part of the interaction where you discover what is actually wrong. And there are just a few ground rules that I like to put in place. So then once you understand these, then you can come up with your own actual scripting and wording. So so the first one is making sure that you're asking questions that position you as the authority, or at least having them understand or kind of be asking you from a point where they want your help. So a question would be, how can I help, or what brings you in? So that's usually a really good way to position yourself as an authority. So they're kind of like telling you what they're looking for, and then you can provide some of the answers. Another really good question to help position yourself as an authority would be like, if they have a certain issue, then so it could be some pain, or it might even be weight loss. You could say, all right, well, how long have you been experiencing this pain for? What are some of the things that you've tried before, and why don't you think they worked? And what makes this time different? Or if you really want to be going for it, why did you come to me? Or what makes, so how do you think I can help you then? So why do you think I'm different, or what makes me different that you've come to me? So, I mean, there's some pretty big questions, but these are just examples on the spectrum of how you position yourself as the authority. Now, obviously you want to be doing it tactful so you don't come across cocky, but which leads me into the second one, is to give some context as to why you're asking these questions. You can't just throw it out there, or else you might just seem like a really arrogant. So you can pretext with it some context and say, just so I can help you best, can I ask you some questions? Or do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Just so I can make sure that we maximize our chances of success for your weight loss journey this time, help me understand why you think it's going to be different this time, or why did you choose us, or there's so many different programs, why this one? So when you give some context behind that, then it's much more, it definitely softens the blow. All right. The other thing is, if you don't give context, then you may come across like you're interrogating them. So like if someone comes in saying they just want some Voltaren, and you say, well, have you had it before? What's it for? If you go launch straight into the questions without the context, it might seem like an interrogation where you are the barrier and you're the block as to why they can't have that medication. They want to pick it up off the shelf and just go. But if you come across too strong, even though these are the appropriate questions, if you don't provide context, you can come across like you're trying to interrogate them. Next one, make sure that you are actually being genuine. You actually want to help understand what their problem is, where they're coming from, and really be, as best as you can, empathetic if you have suffered or you have experience in what it is that they're going through. When you genuinely want to help understand their problem, then it just really softens the whole authority side of things, and the and giving some context and making sure that you don't come across like you're interrogating. And the last one is, sometimes some chit chat, sometimes like, oh, how was your weekend? Or how are the kids? Or you've got some school holidays planned? Sometimes that is necessary to establish a relationship, or at least make the patient or the person comfortable, so then you can, when you do launch into some questions, that they're much more open to opening up. So like, do you have any plans coming up for these holidays? It's like, oh yes, I'm really excited. I'm going to be going to skiing for the first time. It's like, oh geez, I love skiing. Where are you going? And then you just kind of go from there. But then once you talk about that, you can share your experience in terms of some of the things and the preventions that you take to ensure that you maximize maximize the journey and the trip, or minimize the risk that we're going to have any sort of mishap. So that's kind of like how you could use some chit chat to segue into, well, here's my experience and then how I can help. So hopefully that's given you some context into why it's important to go through the discovery process. In the next video, we're going to be talking about how we offer solutions.